Do Check This Out, a music podcast, is sponsored by Bald Birds Brewing Company, serving great beer in Audubon, PA since 2018. Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for listening to Do Check This Out, a music podcast. I just wanted to make a quick announcement before Rob gets on with the interview. Since recording this episode, our guest, Zach LoPresti, just recently had 2 guitars stolen out of his car near Front Street and Girard in Philadelphia. One is a Mint Burst 2008 Parker Fly Deluxe. The other a brand new, one-of-a-kind, handmade Laudo. If you have any information, you can hit up Zach on Facebook or send us an email here at hambonerelay@gmail.com.
The rim shot.
Yeah, that when you go to a room and all you get's the overhead mic, that's all they want is just give me a rim shot and a good crash with the bass drum, and then we're done here. Hey, ladies and gents, welcome to Do Check This Out, episode number 10. That's right, we waited to 10 episodes. If you want to listen to the previous 9 episodes, you can go to iTunes and go look up Dude Check This Out, a music podcast. Like always, we're Hambone Relay. We host this podcast. My name is Rob. I'm the drummer of Hambone Relay, and I interview the folks. And on the computers is Mark Brown.
Hey.
And he does a couple little spits in there, here and there. And we just love doing this. We love bringing great musicians in. We love talking about all sorts of genres, styles, whatever you want to call them. But here's the thing. We can't hit all sorts of genres on this podcast. We only have a limited amount of time. So if you feel like there's something that we could talk about or there's somebody we should interview, please email us at dudecheckthisoutmusicpodcast@gmail.com. Stupid long email name, but you'll get it. It's fine. Dude, check this out, music podcast. Today is actually the first day that we are sponsored by Bald Birds Brewing Company. I just want to show you these amazing cans real fast. These guys are great. These are some amazing beers, and we are starting to collaborate with them. And we're going to maybe do some events over at Bald Birds Brewing Company. If you want to check out some beer, go to their website, or maybe go out to Audubon, PA, where they're located. And hopefully in the future we'll have a show over at their brewing room. But today we have the great privilege of having a man of many, many, many talents. He's a musician, he's a teacher, he's an amazing human being. In the studio, we got Mr. Zach LoPresti. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, Rob. How are you?
I'm chilling, man. I'm chilling. I'm actually, I didn't tell you this before, is that I'm actually honored you're here because you inspire me. You're friends with so many people on like social medias and things like that, but you put out these videos that are just like people drop their jaws at, like it's you practicing like certain songs and things like that. But it's always inspiring to see like the behind the scenes, like this is not totally together, but you put it out anyway. Yeah. And is that something intentional that you do to kind of force yourself, or?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's, to me it seems important to show kind of the full process, I guess, like doing the kind of music that I'm interested in playing and interested in getting out there. I think it's rather than just showing like super polished, finished things, like, where I've done a million takes of a thing and it sounds perfect. I like showing when I'm just like kind of working on something too, and there's some flubs because it's human and because it's like no one can do anything perfectly. So I don't know.
Absolutely not. Even the guys that say they're perfect have like 1,000 different overdubs on those takes and like on recordings and stuff.
Sure.
Forget about it. But yeah. I find that very honest and very, like you said, human, and it's awesome to see. And like I have a hard time, personally, like putting out some of those videos because like that's not great. And I struggle with it too. But I just like I guess like sometimes I don't like necessarily. I'll just be like sitting there practicing something, and I'll be like, all right, I'm deciding to turn the camera on, and that usually kind of like puts me into a hyper focus mode for however long it takes me to like feel good about it, and that's kind of that's like a catalyst, that's fuel for practicing and getting something down. Well, that's interesting. So you're almost forcing yourself to be like, all right, I'm really on. I'm no longer just by myself. I need to actually be fully present in what I'm playing.
Yeah. Especially when I'll do a lot of those like in between lessons or something. So it's like, all right, I have 15 minutes you know, what can I do? You know, that kind of thing.
You like pick a musician or a song that you're checking out and just try to learn a riff or something like that? Or
Yeah,
just
or
your own stuff.
Or if I'm just screwing around like behind the drum kit or on the guitar, just whatever it happens to be. I mean, obviously it's not always like that, and sometimes it is like a more planned out, like, okay, I'm going to record the solo to X song and I'm going to do it until it sounds really good, and it might take me an hour and a half. You know, I definitely put stuff out like that too. But
oh yeah, for sure. Nothing's just here. This is how I am naturally. First take, like not all the time. But
Yeah.
but since you mentioned it, you are a really great musician, a guitar player, a drummer. I haven't seen you play bass, but I assume it's good. But Zach is in so many bands. I'm gonna try to name some. Out of the Beardspace, Hungry Ghost, which we're going to talk about, Gnarbot, which we'll definitely talk about, Nick Greeley and the Operators, and a band that was named as of a few months ago, Tiger Goods.
Okay, so 2 notes. One,
Give me 2 notes.
Okay, one, Hungry Ghost is now called Deep Creature. And
okay.
We've changed that's a project that kind of, without talking about it, without getting deeply into it, it's basically me and Sam, the keyboard player and Out of the Beardspace, kind of started it years ago as a duo, and we've changed the name maybe once every 12 to 15 months since we started. So this is its 4th name. It started as Hollander Krauss Duo, then it was Mind Boys, then it was Hungry Ghost, and now it's Deep Creature. And yeah. So
Well, here I was going to actually ask. Hungry Ghost is something. When I was researching the name, it had like a different connotation. It was a concept in Chinese Buddhism. Is that something where you got that from, or?
Well, okay, so no, not really. It's a term that, I mean, it's a name that Sam came up with, the other guy, and he, I think, mostly was drawn to it because it's the title of a song by Meliana, if you're familiar, which it's a duo, Brad Meldau, piano player.
Oh,
and
wait. We did talk about this with Trap Rabbit.
Okay.
Brad Meldau and
Mark Giuliano. Yeah. So, and that you know, they only put out one record, but it was something that really, really inspired Sam and I early on. And they have a song called Hungry Ghost. So I think he was like that, and also you know, it's like the Pac-Man thing or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then actually later, when he learned of the Buddhist correlation and what that actually means, which is basically from my understanding, it's like a soul that can't ever get its fill. It's almost like the epitome of greed in a certain way, and indulgence. When he learned what that, I was aware of that, at least lightly. Mm-hmm. When he became aware of that, he was like, "Oh, we should change it. I don't know if I like that." And you know, so
I don't like this connotation.
Yeah. So then he's like, "All right, we'll do Deep Creature."
Or is that from anything, or
not
is that
really? Just it's like, I don't know. No, not really.
Something that you came up with
just something
in the
you
Beard
came up with.
Space?
Yeah, sure. That name has more of a actual thing behind it.
What's the thing?
Behind the name Out of the Beardspace?
Well, I know a little bit from a couple of interviews I read, but tell me the story if you don't mind.
Well, as you might have guessed now, even just from this last couple of minutes of conversation, me and my friends like to come up with a lot of terms and stuff, and you know, anyone who's good friends with me, I'm constantly sending kind of nonsense terms to people, and I'll describe things to my students. I'll use metaphors that, in a certain sense, don't make sense. All right, I'll be like, hey, you sound like mashed potatoes on the guitar right there. And it's like, what does that mean? Well, it's like, well, if you think about it, you sound mushy and sloppy and a little too buttery for this part. You know, that might be what I mean by that. So I don't know. But that said, one of the terms over a decade ago that we were throwing around a lot, that a friend of ours named Eric came up with, was the beard space. And the beard space is where you are when you're developing your ideas. You're writing up your blueprints. You're writing your song. You're dreaming up whatever it is, and you're stroking your beard. You know, you're in the beard space. Yeah. So that's the beard space. And actually, I'm pretty sure our actual so there's the beard space, and then there's the meat space, which is physical reality. You can touch it; it's meat. So the first performance we ever had, which was in my backyard, we went by into the meat, or I think we just went by meat space. I'm pretty sure I have an old recording from I don't even know, the late 2000s of us as just meat space live. But then we were like, that's really kind of fucking weird. So we changed it to Out of the Beardspace, because that's like, we always refer to kind of realizing our compositions as bringing them out of the beard space. You know?
Into the meat space.
Into the meat space, out of the beard space, yeah.
I had it written down, and now I can't find it on my my notes here. You had it. It was one of your the players' names, and then the meat space, and I can't find it on my notes. Doesn't matter. Okay. Anyway, but I love this story, and it's kind of cool. You know, you take this idea and you bring it into physical reality.
Yeah,
and I like that.
Yeah, and that, again, that's like we refer to a lot of things as bringing things out, like bringing ideas out or bringing songs out. You know, that's just like our terminology. It has been since we were, I don't know, late teens.
I mean, you guys have been playing together, since all of you guys went to the School of Rock, the Paul Green School of Rock, right?
We did, yeah.
How old were you all at that point?
I joined, I was 15. Sam would have been probably 16, but had just turned 16. The youngest members were 12, because they were 3 years behind me.
Wow.
So, but we didn't form the band immediately. So when I joined, there was already a little bit of a culture there, and a lot of these guys were friends. And there's even there's like a good amount of musicians that are still active in the area. Like, you know, Mike Reisman, who's in Soraya now. He was in a band with Sam called Stone Temple Pilots. Oh my God!
Like, holy shit!
Dude, that's pretty awesome.
Sorry. Stone Mountain Terror.
The other band was better. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow. Okay, so there was that. 3 of the Beardspace guys, Ethan, Kevin, and Jeremy, they were in a band with Gnarbot's other guitar player, Zach Smith, called Dynamic Monotone.
Okay.
Do you know Steve Yanatoni? He's good friends with Kat. That's how I know.
Not off the top of my head, I don't think so.
He was in Sonder.
Yeah.
Remember that band?
Yeah, Steve.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stevie.
Curly hair.
It's curly hair.
He played bass and drums.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Yes. So he was around at the School of Rock back then. So there was a lot of us, and there were already like bands formed and stuff, and I kind of came, and I was just like this shred kid who like wanted to be a part of everything kind of instantly. Like I was like you know, I made friends with people, and you know, I kind of wanted to be a part of anyone's band. I didn't immediately. I had a weird metal project with Mike Reisman and Zach Smith and some other people, but eventually I joined the band Sex Office.
They're still playing. We're actually doing a festival with them soon.
Yeah. So, and Zach Smith is now on Sex Office.
Oh, awesome.
But I joined Sex Office, and it was me and 2 other guys, and who weren't School of Rock affiliated,
right.
And then we brought on Jeremy and eventually Kevin and then eventually Ethan to fill out the live band. And then I'm not going to get ahead of myself, but
no, it's okay. I find it amazing that it was like a bunch of different bands, and you all kind of picked one another, and then you all formed this, not a super group, but like you almost joined a couple different bands at the same, like all together.
Yeah, something like that. It was a weird congealing of a bunch of different players. When it started, it was actually 9 people, and it included the 2 original founders of Sex Office. Jesus. One of whom is still in the band, Nick Laria, and then the other one is this guy, Eric Manganero, who coined the term Beardspace, and Zach Smith. So originally there were 9 people in Beardspace, but kind of within about a year or two, kind of the core 6 of us kind of was solidified.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the metal band that you were in before? What was that? Like, was it just like a little trial and error sort of thing? Like
yeah, we played 3 gigs ever. We had 2 songs. We did mostly like Metallica and like Ozzy covers and shit like that.
Well, I learned that you are actually a Metallica aficionado. You know every single Metallica song ever written?
Something like that.
Something
I don't know.
Close to that?
I did at one point. I did at least the first 4 albums or 5 albums. That's kind of how I got my start teaching. When I was in high school, just like I became known as that kid who could play any of the Metallica songs. And when I was a senior, younger kids were like, I want to learn Metallica songs. I was like, all right, I guess if you pay me, I'll teach you them.
So it was almost by proxy. You're just like, I guess I'm a teacher now.
Yeah. I can
teach.
And like I knew basic enough. I knew enough to take a beginner and give them stuff to do, you know. And then, at the end of my days at rock school, when I was like 18. I stayed a little bit even into being 19 years old because I was doing the All-Star program, and we were doing really cool shit like playing a festival in Germany that was like a Frank Zappa tribute festival called Zappa Now. It was amazing. We were doing all kinds of stuff.
And
so
you were on tour with the gentleman from Yes, right?
Yeah, John Anderson.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was when I first joined. That was when I was like 16 or 17. But yeah, when I was like whatever, my last couple of years at rock school, if a teacher didn't show up or something, or they needed a sub in a pinch, they would just like be like, all right, Zach, you're in, like go teach. And they would pay me like an employee, even though I was a student.
Were you in a mindset of a student, just like, I guess I'll just handle this? Or
yeah.
What was it? Were you able to flip that switch pretty easily?
Yeah, I mean, I was like, I always kind of tried to be really on top of things. So like if I was in a show, especially the first show I was in was a Metallica show, for instance. So like at that point in time, I did know all the songs, and I always made a point to. That's when I was 15, so I was probably much more of an asshole about it. But I tried to make sure everyone was playing the right parts, and I tried to kind of lead things even when I was a student. And I butted heads with teachers, especially when I was on All Stars. I butted heads with Paul Green decent amount, and at the Cherry Hill School of Rock, I would butt heads with teachers. But it was natural for me to just like be aware of like if I was on a song, I tried to make sure I knew every single part, like on all the instruments, even if I couldn't necessarily play them all. Like I knew if the keyboard player was doing the wrong thing. Not that I could necessarily play the right thing, but I would know what it was, and I could direct, and I was always very motivated to like take on hard material and to like get my peers to do it with me. Like, come on, let's do this ridiculous song. Let's tell the person running the show to put this ridiculous song in the show, and then let's fucking crush it.
Right.
And then
So you were a good motivator even back then, pushing other musicians to be better than they were, and like also hounding them if they didn't know the parts.
Yeah, I was definitely trying to be. And like I definitely was also like surrounded by people who were very talented in their own rights and motivating me in their own ways too. So but yeah, I tried to, it was natural. Like even when I was a student at rock school, there were times where I wanted to almost like take over the shows from certain teachers, because I was like, you don't care about this as much as I do at the moment. Right. And the show is suffering, and it would be better if someone who cared more was doing it.
I'm sure some teachers did not take that lightly.
No.
They were like, I'm getting paid for this, kid, get off of my paycheck. Like,
yeah.
Yikes. But so even that first Metallica show, you knew all the parts of the music anyway. Right. It wasn't like you were working hard every night making sure you knew each piano part in each one of these albums. You already knew it, and you were directing things even back then. How old were you? The Metallica show?
15.
Okay. So you were developing good leadership skills even back then.
Yeah, I was trying to, for sure.
Do you find that from that moment on, you kind of just blossomed into that role? Or you knew that you would kind of do that sort of thing as you grew older?
Yeah, I feel like both questions are could be one and the same.
Right.
Like I blossomed into it, but I did kind of have it felt natural as it was happening. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And yeah.
Because with most of the bands that you're in now, I'm not saying you're leaders of all these bands, but I know that just through talk and through everybody, I know that you're like a main voice in BEARDFEST, and with Gnarbot, you're one of the main writers of Gnarbot, right?
It's pretty collaborative, honestly. Probably the person who has the most compositions that we actually perform at the moment would be Rodrigo.
Really?
Yeah. But I mean, we all write. I've written a good amount of songs for the band. That our drummer Chris, I don't know if you saw, but we put a video out yesterday with Meinl, and that was a composition of our drummer Chris's. We kind of made it a point when we went out to Nashville to do that. We were given the opportunity to record 4 songs, so we did 1 song by each member.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are they? Well, I saw the video first. Effing amazing. We're going to cue that song right here for the video people. awesome. And I actually was going to ask, you're a drummer.
I am.
And Chris is an animal.
Yeah.
He's ridiculous. I was watching the video. It wasn't even during it wasn't the solo part yet. It's like the first half of the song. He's playing like intricate stuff just under everybody, but it's so subtle you wouldn't notice unless you were looking right at him. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, you guys do like a little duet thing.
Yeah.
Which was nuts because I lost time. It's just like this giant creativity. You lose yourself in it. When you were recording that, was that kind of like the intention?
Of
like,
that
like,
section?
Like when you were writing it, was that kind of the idea? That like when you guys would be playing with each other?
In that section of the song?
Yeah, in that section of the tune.
Yeah, yeah. And again, this is Chris's composition entirely. Yeah. And yes, that was his. He wanted to. So during that part, if we get a little whatever music nerdy, he's playing over. He's playing over the rhythmic figure of a part that we all play together previously, which is 3 big groupings of 5 and then a grouping of 4. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, and then a 4. And he wanted to. At first, initially he was just like, I just want to do a solo there because like it's a Meinl video, like that's the kind of thing they want. And then he was like, actually, I want to solo by myself for 1 or 2 rounds, but then I want you to come in and just for us to like be like aliens battling in space and just fucking go at each other.
That's exactly what it felt like.
Yeah. and that kind of style for me is inspired by like I'm hugely influenced by Mahavishnu Orchestra, and that, you know, that style of going back and forth is a classic thing that John McLaughlin and Billy Cobham would do. And just like, you know, I don't know. That's always how I felt. Like, you know, I would hear them play, and it's like these guys are like superhuman, just like going at it, and that's what me and Chris were definitely going for there. So yeah, but it was intentional to just like for it to be that section of the song is the only completely improvised section. Everything else, every other note is composed. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll tell you what, ladies and gents, we'll list it in the details, but go check out that video. It's awesome. And there's also a couple other videos you guys have done with like Sun Labs. Yeah. And there was another video I saw, and I'm blanking on where you guys did it. But go check out their YouTube page. Is it just Gnarbot/Gnarbot?
Yeah, it might be like Gnarbot Official or Gnarbot
I'm sure
Band.
If you Google it, it'll be fine.
Yeah, yeah.
But you mentioned metal music, and you mentioned we talked about Metallica. But
yeah.
So when you first started, I was reading an interview online called "You Don't Know Jersey." That's the name of the site. Okay. And you did this interview a while back. But
yes.
you talk a lot about your dad, and you talk about your dad. Well, no, I mean like your parents both played, right?
Yes.
Okay, and your dad actually was like,
you did your research.
Yeah, I did. Like, why don't people research? So, but your dad was like a heavy musician. He was playing. He was in like a couple big bands that almost broke, right?
Yeah.
What was the big band that he was in that maybe people would know or I could tag?
Saints in Hell? Well, I don't know if they don't have any social media presence anymore.
Well, that's fine. What we usually do is we make Spotify playlists for each artist for each one of these episodes. So I put the music in the playlist. So like if you name some of the artists, I can actually go in and put them on the playlist.
Well, I don't even know if anything ever really surfaced.
Or what are some bands that your dad was?
The one that people from people in my dad's age range who I meet out at clubs and stuff who randomly go, "You're Kurt Ritchie's son, right?" Saints in Hell, that was the band.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was like a hair metal band?
Oh, yeah. And they did the whole, like it was honestly closer to, like, Kiss in the makeup. Like, they did the makeup and everything. And it was like, yeah, it was...
What was the makeup like?
Like satanic shit kind of thing. Not satanic, but like of that
ilk or nature.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But so your dad shows you his music when you're like a kid, right?
Yeah. I mean, some of my earliest memories are like I have a mixtape of I had a mixtape of like 4 or 5 of his songs that like I just know completely by the heart. Like I don't even have to like think about how to play them on guitar. If you just put a guitar in my hand, I could just play them. Probably, I think. But they're
Let's test it.
No, they're just like burned into my memory from hearing them. And like I used to just like run around the living room and just like air guitar to those songs and was like completely into them. Yeah,
that is so awesome. How young were you at this point?
3.
Oh, no shit.
2, 3, and that's when I started playing drums around 4. Actually, my parents tried to start me on guitar when I was 3 or 4, and I didn't take to it apparently.
Oh, so drums were first then?
Oh yeah, by far.
Okay,
by a long shot.
Like typical pots and pans, or did they get you like a little?
They got me a little
kit?
drum kit. There's like videos of me being like a 3 or 4 year old, like playing along with Lenny Kravitz's "Are You Gonna Go My Way," which is my favorite song at the time. And like I'll like play a little bit, and then I'll like stop and like sing some of it, and then I'll like balance a drumstick in my nose and like on my knee, and then I'll like take it, and then I'll like start playing again.
You should send us that song.
I should find. Yeah, I gotta find that. It's good stuff.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
But yeah, I didn't take to guitar, and I don't know if I actively thought of it this way, but I've like in my analyzation, in a later year analyzation of myself as a young person, I think I was intimidated. Honestly, I think that I could never foresee myself playing guitar as well as my dad did, and there was always like people who knew my dad were always like, oh, your dad was like, the greatest guitar player around and all these things. So I think I, in my head, was just like, well, I can't do that, and
what made you pick it up?
I was in 7th grade, and I was like trying to form my first band, and there were other kids my age who were, I was like getting into Metallica, and I was getting into Led Zeppelin, and I was getting into Nirvana and Rush, and there were kids in my grade who were into these things too, and we tried to form a band. We had like 3 rehearsals ever. There was never one where everyone was there, but I made some musical friends, and I like honestly just seeing people my age being able to play like Crazy Train or something like blew my fucking mind. I was just like, you can do that? Wait, you can do that? Wait, give me the guitar. Can you show me how to do that? Oh, and like 20 minutes later, I can do it too. Like, right. So I just kind of like, in that short time period, that like sparked, that like blew the doors off the roof in my mind or something. That was a weird phrase. But,
no, it was perfect because it made you immediately go, oh, you didn't have to go like break through the fear. It was like, oh, I can do that. Yeah,
and it allowed me to, for the first time, because like literally I couldn't picture myself playing guitar like before. Like I couldn't fathom of the image in my head. But then after that, I could see it. Like I used to like imagine myself like on stage at a talent show playing the solo to Enter Sandman.
Oh, so cute. At like a talent show on stage.
Yeah. It was just like, I was just like, I could do that. I could do that. So,
so when you learned the Enter Sandman solo, were you like just pumped out of your gore? You played it all day on the edge of your bed?
Probably. Yeah, probably. Although honestly, pretty early on, I was like, I'm sure I was really into that, but pretty early on, I was like, all right, what's next? Like, what's harder than this? I was really trying to learn, like, my first phase, I was really trying to learn, like, Van Halen. That was, like, who I was.
What era? What were you going after?
Oh, the first album.
Oh,
that's
okay.
it. Just that. I used to, when I had that CD in the 7th grade, and I played it so many times that it like broke. And like one of the first things I learned was like the tapping thing in Eruption. That was like,
classic. I'm
sorry. Yeah, that's all good.
Beer up my nose.
So yeah, so and shortly after I started getting into all that stuff, like I imagined myself playing Enter Sandman, but that's because I didn't know any more Metallica yet. I hadn't been exposed to it. My dad was a metalhead, but like not as much. Like I was more into thrash when I was into metal stuff. Like I got really into Metallica when I really heard like Master of Puppets and like what's the album? And Justice for All and Ride the Lightning. Those 3 albums I really, really, really liked. And I was trying to learn the solos from those because they were, to me, more impressive and cooler than like the Black Album solos and stuff. So, yeah.
No, I think it's great. I think that what I'm really curious to know is, I know you had that fear with your dad being a guitar player, and I'll just play the drums because there's no way I can do that. At some point, when you are really learning these guitar solos or really learning how to play guitar, do you think that knowing that your dad played really fueled you even more to become a better guitar player? Almost to catch up, or that you both become guitar players?
Oh no, absolutely. It was a huge competition thing. I wanted to like be better than him like instantly. And I worked my ass off like instantly to like okay, you can't play this solo, I'm going to get it down. Like that was kind of my mentality really early on. I've always been a competitive person. I was really into sports for years and years and years.
What was your main sport, if you don't mind me
Baseball.
asking? What position?
Pitcher.
Oh, you were a pitcher?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, up until junior year.
Okay, were you playing for school teams and stuff too?
Yeah.
What was your record like? What was that?
I don't remember.
Oh, come on! You probably he's got it hanging up at the wall back at the house.
No, I don't. I don't remember. I seriously became like I started getting into music in a more serious way, like about 7th grade. That's like everything we just talked about was around 7th grade, and it didn't fully take over until sophomore year, which was around the time that I found the School of Rock through my dad because he started teaching there. And that was like when I found a community of kids, because I went to Catholic school before, or I went to a public school, and then I went to St. Joe's in Hamilton for 9th and 10th grade, which is a Catholic school, and the music program was not good. Now, I had some of my first great music friends there, which was good, but overall, none of them inspired me that much. Like, at a certain point, I was kind of like, I'm into different things. Like I wanted to play Dream Theater at that point and like go further down like that kind of like proggy intense kind of road. And no one else was like as into that stuff as I was. So it was really finding School of Rock and like, wow, there's a whole community of kids that kick ass. And I went and saw some shows with like the All-Stars at that time and there were kids that just like completely blew my mind. I was just like, and that were younger than me. That was like, holy shit, I suck. But it was like, holy shit, I suck. This is great. Like, it was like, yeah.
That competitive nature really drove you at that point. You see these kids that are better than you when younger than you, and you're just like, I'm gonna do it now. I'm gonna catch up with you guys.
Yeah, and it's an interesting form of competition with me because it's like not it's. Unless, and the only time like I want to like assert something is like if someone's like a dick, you know what I mean? If someone's a dick about their skill, then that brings out kind of a negative, or at least when I was younger, that would bring out a negative side. But like mostly it's like, you're great, I want to be great too. Let's both be great. You know what I mean? That's kind of like, especially as I've gotten older, that's like the mentality that I have.
I think that's healthy.
Yeah.
I think that's, especially with bands, like you're in bands that maybe somebody's like lagging one week or somebody else, and you all like pull each other up.
Yeah. As
opposed to the opposite, which is like, hey man, get your shit together. Be like, no, let's raise each other up.
Yeah.
And I think in our band we do that as well. It's just like, hey, here's what we could do better, etc. Work with each other. Yeah,
that's happened, and that kind of things come up with Gnarbot, especially because that was a band that I started primarily because I wanted to be surrounded by people who were like really trying to push each other like constantly, sort of thing. And there have been time periods where I've slacked, and I've called myself out on it. I've been called out on it, and it's been undeniable when it's happened. That's part of why, like I was telling you earlier, that's part of why I switched. I have one less teaching day now so that I can literally just practice more. Because I don't want to, I don't want to be the guy. I don't want to be the guy holding everyone back.
Right. Well, there's one thing that people can't say about you, and it's that you're lazy. and
maybe people can't say that. I have to say that about myself all the fucking time. I feel super lazy.
I really hope you don't, because you make me feel lazy. So, okay, so I'd mentioned all the bands before, but we didn't talk about this other half of Zach, in which Zach also has a music school he runs with some of the guys from BEARDFEST and Zach Smith from Gnarbot, who was in Sex Office, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And Nick Reilly and the Operators.
Oh, they do that too?
No, he's the other guitar player in that band. It's the two of us.
Got it.
No, well, and as far as the music school thing goes, it's mostly me. Zach teaches one, like there's I do group stuff too, like performance based stuff, and Zach works with me on that. But like,
so it's mostly you, it's all you, and then like the
Yeah, I kind of run it all.
Oh, okay. So in the
other
Beardspace was incorrect. Okay.
Yeah, the other BEARDFEST guys, like, they'll sub for me at times, and like we give each other, sometimes we pass each other students and that kind of thing. But it's not like it's I'm wearing the shirt now. I actually didn't want to wear this, but I'm wearing it. It says
shameless plug. Be shameless. It's okay. We're doing it now. Look, okay. Bald Birds Brewing Company and Hambone Relay Vinyl coming to you soon, wherever our vinyl is. Maybe I'll post it. Mark will have to post me one or give me one. But just to keep it fair. But I was actually going to ask about its Academy, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Like we talked about posting videos. You post videos of your students, and like you said before, like you're awesome and you're better than me. I'm gonna catch up. And you post these videos of these kids playing like Hiatus Coyote and like some BEARDSPACE songs. They're just out of this world. How do you get these kids to this level?
I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of things that go into it. Like, there's a lot of things that go into it, but the easiest summary is to say that just like with the ones that I gotta be careful here. With kids who I don't feel like it's like proper to treat everyone exactly the same way. As in, you have to, like, if you're a coach of something, you kind of have to like gauge what different people can take and what standards they can take. And for the kids that I know can take it, like, I hold them to the standard that I would hold my bandmates. So that's a very, very high standard, but it's actually more than that. It's actually a standard that I hold myself to, which is like pretty, like, I'm pretty critical of them, and I'm pretty like, basically, like, I'm like, hey, you don't sound like an adult. You don't sound like a pro yet. And if I know they can at where they're at, or if I know they have the ambition to get there, then I'll push them really hard towards that. But again, if I did that with every single student, I would have everyone quit. And I actually, in the past, when I was really first getting my feet wet as a teacher in my early 20s, I had more students, like a lot. Some of my better students would quit because I was constantly just like you're not, like, you come in and tell me you can play "Hey You" by Pink Floyd and you're not fucking playing it right. And I don't care if you can shred over, like, I don't care if it sounds amazing when you play Guns N' Roses. Like, you can't play this Pink Floyd song that you've been assigned. So like, and you want to be a professional and you have a big ego already because you're parents and because of everyone looks at you and says, oh, well, he can play really fast, but like, it doesn't matter,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Well, no, I was actually
there's some stuff.
I was letting you go. I was in a similar situation. I taught in my early 20s as well, right out of school, and I was trying to be hard with some students. Like, you can't play with AC/DC. How can you think that like you're the shit when you can't play like Thunderstruck, just like boom, right, etc. So like, I had a lot of students quit on me. So I respect you that you realize kind of like, okay, well, how do I deal with this animal then? You can be critical of some, but some you gotta kind of almost.
I mean, it's all the students who are part of this Academy performing group. I am critical, and I am like they're all held to a very high standard,
right?
But I feel like, you're referring to something specific when you say, how do I get certain of those kids to play Hiatus Coyote or Snarky Puppy or whatever? Like, and those are the kids that, like, I have a handful of kids that I would hire for gigs, like, now, like, including ones that are as young as 13. I have a 13-year-old bass player that I teach that I would, if I needed a bass player, I would hire him.
Really?
Yeah. He would be scared shitless, and he'd be like, he'd be like, I can't do it. But like,
it'd be really good for him.
But you know what? Because he sounds like an adult when he plays.
Wow.
He sounds like a man when he's confident of what he's playing. He sounds like he sounds like a woman or a man. Shouldn't have said it.
You're fine. You're
but
good.
He sounds like someone who has like great control over what he's doing, and like has the tone of an adult. That's the thing. And that's the kids who want to be professionals, like, who outwardly say that and who I can like really feel it from them. I hold them to a professional standard, which, as you know, it's not the easiest field to be successful in, especially if you want to mostly do what you want to do, So I'm constantly like, hey, listen, like it's a very competitive field. Like I'm going to like, I want to like treat you the way, like I want to let you know if you perform in a way that would make it so that you wouldn't get called back next time. Like I want you to know that, so that when you are in that situation, you are prepared enough to get called back next time. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
How are you getting these kids prepared for such like that? Like making sure they get called back. Are you that critical of them in the lesson, in the sense of like, here's why I wouldn't call you,
yeah,
etc.
Oh yeah, yeah. And like, you know, sometimes it's like broader concept stuff. Sometimes it's like your attitude wasn't good, but other times it's very specific things, like you rush your 16th notes, or you're a singer, you are usually pretty sharp, or like guitar player, every time you apply vibrato, you're a little sharper or whatever, or you know what I mean, like. Drummer, every time you try to do a shuffle beat, it doesn't actually feel like there's a pocket anymore. You know, like whatever it is, I try to be like very specific and try to get them to hear these things too. You know what I mean? Because they're things I notice, and they're reasons that I choose to play with who I choose to play with, and they're the ways that I analyze myself. And there are things I hear in myself, you know, because I record almost everything I play, and I'm constantly dissecting my playing. Always, it's honestly, it's not always the best thing, because a lot of times it carries into when I'm performing, right? Which is something I'm working on constantly. But
you record every show that you do?
Yeah, even if it's just like I'm turning my voice memos on and throwing the phone on the floor almost every time. Yeah.
How often do you listen to the shows? Like the whole show?
Honestly,
and like make notes almost, or are you just making mental notes?
Mental notes, and honestly, it depends on how hype I am on the music itself or the performance itself. Like I'm more likely, like I do listen, like when I do one-off gigs with people, which I tend to do a decent amount of. I do listen back to those sometimes, but I'm not as likely to, unless like I really think there's like, if I'm really excited about it, then I will. But usually, because to be honest too, this is a whole nother thing, but you know, when people ask me like, what's your favorite music and stuff, like I would be lying if I didn't say that the stuff that I'm working on with my friends and by myself is a lot of my favorite music. That's what I'm trying to make my favorite music. Mm-hmm. It might be selfish as hell, but that's what I'm trying to do, and I think I'm going to make the best contribution to the music world at large if I'm doing that. So I'm more likely to listen back to a Gnarbot performance than I am to listen back to when I randomly play with so-and-so.
Okay.
You know?
Well, yeah, you're more committed to that, and you want to hear how you sound in that space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We recently just started doing a lot of big recordings of our shows. We just got this big Zoom board and do like pretty in-depth like
nice
mixing of like live shows.
Yeah, get the stems and stuff.
Yeah, and then that way I can really get in depth with like what each person is playing, and even take out the organ and the guitar and just listen to the bass, the organ, bass, and the drums. So it's good to know that something.
But Rob, it is funny though. Like we record all of our shows, and then we'll be driving to the next gig, and we'll be like, I don't know, you want to listen to us? Nah, let's listen to something else. I don't know, this sucks. You know
we do that, and then we don't want to feel down about that gig that day, so we wait till we get home at least.
Yeah,
from those three shows.
We'll take notes and like then go over it in rehearsal and stuff. But like when we're on the road, that's the last thing we want to listen to.
We do all that. Maybe I work with a bunch of narcissists, but almost any group I'm in, whenever we like, if Gnarbot's on a 4-day run, you know, we record the show, and then the next day, even if the recording is a cell phone recording and not like, I get stems whenever I can too, but I don't like go through. I don't like have a board that I bring with me or anything. But yeah, we always want to listen back to the performances and you know, figure out whatever there is to figure out about it, or enjoy it, or hate it, or whatever it is, you know. But
do you guys handle self-evaluation well in that circumstance? Like if when you're driving and you hear something that's really fucked up, for example, like either by you or something in your bandmate, does that get you down for the whole day or the whole run? Are you pretty good at like compartmentalizing that sort of thing?
Yeah, I would say I can at least speak personally. Like I'm more likely to be down like right after a performance if I thought I didn't do well, like I'm more likely to be down in that scenario than if I listen back 2 hours later and I hear a flub. Like I'll be down. Like the only time I'll be down if I'm listening back to a recording if it's like excessive, which there have been at least a couple shows with Gnarbot where I feel like my flubbery has been excessive to the point where it's like made me down for literally like 2 months. I was like depressed because of how bad I played this one show. I was just like so disappointed in myself that I would have played such a shitty show. That show in particular, like I was really excited for, and we as a band were really excited for, and I insisted that we like do an elaborate video production for it. Like, so we had like 5 camera people come out, like great video quality, got the stems, and just like literally none of it was up to par to be usable. No. So it was just like it was an eye opener, you know. It was just like, wow, like, you know. But aside from situations like that, which like I've flubbed plenty of times with plenty of bands, but like it's rare that to me it feels like more than 50% of the set sucks ass, you know. So usually it's like I'm able to laugh at them. I'm really good at laughing at myself and my friends and my students too. Like if something sounds funny, I'm like, you know,
I'm stupid.
Like, yeah.
We had a show about a year ago I listened to every now and again that I know was my worst show, and I listened to it again. Oops.
Yeah.
And you go work on it when you get the time.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Back to BEARDSPACE to make a quick change here.
Sure.
When you guys were together, you guys made like
we still
bunch of music. You're still together, yeah. But you guys so far have made like how many records have you guys made?
It really depends on how you look at it, but we have a 6-song EP. That's the first thing we did, which was like even like we had only played a show or two around that time. We have like
and you guys went right into the studio to do the EP.
Oh, well, not the studio. Sam's parents were out of town for a week, so we just like holed up in his house and started recording it there, and then recorded some of it at my house, and then some at Jeremy and Kevin's house.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we like it's really interesting actually. I think that the quality of it is really interesting because all 6 songs were recorded slightly differently. Some of them, when we went in to do the tracking, all we had was literally like a 4-tape, like 4 input like cassette tape recorder sort of thing. But we didn't give a shit at all about that. We were just like, let's just get it, let's just do it, and we just did it. And some of it came like it doesn't sound like a record made in 2010, which is when it was made. It sounds like half of it sounds like something that was like shittily recorded in the 70s or something, which I really love about it now. It's nostalgic for me. But anyway, sorry. We have that. We have this like 19 or 20 song crazy EP called Dads. That's like it's like 20 different parts, and they're all MIDI compositions by a group. It's not just Out of the Beardspace. There's like 4 more of our friends who contributed all these random weird songs that are like anywhere from 35 seconds to like maybe 2 minutes max. Crazy names and just.
I think I was looking at that one. Do they flow pretty good with each other? At least it's like in the album.
The way we did it was there was like a time period. There was a time period in the early like whatever like 2009, 2007 through 2010 basically, where a pretty large group of us were like frequently like writing music on our computer and like sending it to each other just like all the time, and a lot of it was like bullshit recordings like for comedy.
Right.
And this thing, like, one person wrote a thing, then for the second part, I added a thing to something that he had written, and then for the third part, I wrote a thing, then I sent it out to everyone, like, here are these 3 parts, and then someone else came back with, here's part 4, and then someone else came back with, well, here's part 5, and we just, like, kind of did it like that until we had, like, again, it's like, I don't remember exactly, it's like 22 pieces or something like that.
That's awesome.
And then we were just like, all right, it's done. Let's put it out. Then the third thing, Out of the Beardspace 3, is our first actual full length. That's 17 tracks. And that was also mostly done by ourselves, like in our home studios, which were complete nonsense. And and some of it was done at a place that I don't think is still running, but maybe it is, Blix YZ.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. Anyway, it was a place that Jeremy was like doing some of his first studio work at. and we did some of the tracking there. And then we have 2 live albums, Intent to Express Parts 1 and 2, and then we have our full length from, I guess we released it 2 years ago now, called Endless Pursuit, which is 10 tracks, and which honestly it's to me it's a huge shame that we as a collective don't seem to know much about how to like get recorded music out there, A, and B, also we made it at a time where we knew that after we put it out we were going to like be on a hiatus for a year. So we kind of like put like a lot of money and time. We recorded at the Gradwell house and put a lot of money, a lot of hours into making this record that I think is fantastic. I really, really love it. I'm really proud of it. And I don't think most people have, I don't think it's been heard really by anyone.
I'll be honest, I heard it this week when I was researching, but my question is, why did you guys take the year hiatus?
Because we have been doing things together for a long time, as you now have a little bit more history on. Between the band, between BEARDFEST, which is a whole nother huge animal, which I'm now in the thick of now. We've lived together in houses a couple times. We all moved to a farm together in 2012 and like lived outside in Virginia, like in tents, and like we're just like living off the land. Like we've done a lot of stuff together, a lot of side projects and stuff, and it just gets heavy sometimes. And Out of the Beardspace as a collective, like when it's gelling, it gels really hard, but it can be really difficult because there's always been a democratic nature to it. So coming to, we've always joked about, but it's completely real, that it's a band of like heavy compromise, because the way one person wants something to go is never how it goes. Like even if it's like my song, that's kind of how we always kind of like worked it. Like if it's my song, I have final say over anything that anyone does. But like still overall with like the grand vision of like what is it to be a band, there's never been enough points of agreement that we've been able to like do more than what we have done. Right. If that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense. There are, was it 7?
8. Sorry. 6. There are 6 core members, and since 2015 or 16, we've had a 7th who he plays with us when we play, but he's not. I wouldn't call him a core member just because he's not involved unless we're like actively doing stuff.
Okay.
But
I can see how that's difficult, because I know. I mean, are you guys pretty much? Would you say you guys are all hard-headed when it comes to like your opinion?
Yes.
Okay, so that must be incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
Because you guys all come from different musicalities and all sorts of stuff. That must be very hard. Like for us, it's only 3 of us, and plus, it's mostly me and Mark. It's 2 guys. We produced the last record. I can't imagine what 6 or 7 people trying to butt heads over even just like a couple tunes.
Yeah, well, it's not only that. It's like grand vision sort of stuff. Like at the time when we were younger and could have done the thing that bands do, where you like, we're just gonna go on the road and play a million shows in a million towns. When we were young enough where that could have made sense, not enough of the guys were on board, and it was me, Jeremy, and Sam who went on to really handle BEARDFEST, which we're still doing. And I'm sure I probably missed like 40 texts in the last, honestly, like since this started about BEARDFEST. We've always kind of been able to figure out how to compromise and work together. And we always knew that, like at that time, we were like, let's tour, let's do the stuff. We had a manager, and he ended up, he's actually now, like he doesn't manage BEARDSpace because BEARDSpace doesn't do anything. He's Gnarbot's booking agent, and he works with a lot of great artists. He's Muscle Tough's booking agent, et cetera, et cetera. But we had this guy working with us, Andrew, and we could have pulled the trigger if we were all kind of in the right headspace for it. Like we could have, again, done the things you would do to kind of get to the next level. But half of the band really wasn't comfortable with it. Didn't like the idea of being a touring musician, and for a lot of reasons. And that was the younger half of the band. Me, Jeremy, and Sam, the older guys, were like, let's do this shit. We can figure it out. Excuse me. Of course, we butt heads, and of course there's going to be compromise, but let's do it. And the other guys didn't.
I'm curious that it's the older half is fine with it. You guys are ready to go out, and the younger half has reservations.
Yeah, doesn't that seem?
That seems counterintuitive.
Yeah,
because you think like they have more freedom, and you guys, you have a kid on the way, and you're like,
well, again, I'm talking about like 3 years ago
so
now.
Still some time ago now.
Yeah. But even honestly, from the beginning, there was always kind of this this faction of the younger guys putting their feet in the ground about what they would and wouldn't do, and us being like, let's do everything. And that enthusiasm kind of dwindled over the years of just like having so much pushback, and like, one bad show experience in a different state caused the whole band to be depressed for like a month, and it's just like stupid shit like that. That like, again, like, just didn't feel like it made sense to keep looking at it the same way we were looking at it.
Right.
So we decided to take the hiatus, and we all kind of like, it's not like we were like, all right, not going to see you guys anymore or anything like that, but we were like, we're taking a hiatus, and me and Sam were going to focus on Hungry Ghost, and everyone kind of was going to do their own thing. And we didn't play basically for a year leading up to BEARDFEST 2017, I think. And then we did the festival because we kind of did agree that even if we were doing a hiatus, we would always play the festival. And we played, I think it was 2017. I don't know. I have a hard time remembering.
Time isn't real.
Yeah,
it's fine.
but we played, and we had a great time. And then in the year between that BEARDFEST and the next one, which might be where we are now, actually, I think that's where we are now. We took a few more shows, and we've been a little bit more open to it, but we're not really seeking. We've sought some opportunities out. Like if we see a band that we like it's probably not going to happen, but like we saw King Crimson was coming to town, we were like, hey, we hit up anyone that we thought might be able to make that happen. We were like, we know it's a long shot, but we would love to open for King Crimson. You want us? Like, we'll like pay you to play the show. You know what I mean? Like,
well, that was one of your main influences when you guys started that band, right?
Still,
like King Crimson.
Yeah, it's still one of my favorite bands.
Oh,
for sure,
fantastic, dude.
But yeah, so we've scaled it back, and it's been great actually. Like our show experiences now, we don't play as often, and the offer we can be kind of selective in what we take, and what that means is that when we do shows, we're generally more excited as a group, and like our fans are more excited because we're not oversaturating, we're not playing all the time, and that's what it is. And no one is like set. I don't think anyone in the band is like mentally like, we will never go for the thing. Like I could be open to having BEARDSpace become more of a real thing again at some point. If the circumstances are right. And I think that's kind of where everyone is. But it's kind of currently the vibe where no one's really like pushing it too hard, because we have so many other things that we're pushing and that feel more natural, such as Gnarbot. For me, it feels very natural to be working on Gnarbot, and I love it so much right now. And we as a band are all on the same page with that.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds amazing. I love how you're pushing the boundary on musically and all those things. And I can't wait. You guys are working on a record right now too, as well, right?
We are. It's been taking so long, but yeah, we are.
It's going to be so worth it though when you're freaking done. Do you have like a release date or anything, or now you're still working hustling at the mix?
Yeah, no, we're working on it. It's it's one of those things where we started it and we had all these songs and we got the rough draft. We got the foundation for a lot of the tracks, and then I lost a bunch of my tracking because my computer, I spilled water all over my computer. No! Yeah. And hadn't backed it up like an idiot. And on top of that, just like we all just write so much. We all always are working, like we're always working on new music. Always. So it kind of, this is honestly a problem with BEARDSpace too. There's a lot of BEARDSpace songs that were great that are just kind of like, only weird demo recordings exist of them because we never put them down when we should have. So I got to make sure it doesn't happen with Gnarbot. But yeah, we just keep like having opportunities come up to like, okay, this Meinl thing comes up, like, all right, well, we're not going to do old songs. We want to record new songs. And then it's like, well, we still didn't even finish the old songs in the album, but it's like, it's hard to get hype on doing that, you know,
because you had them for so long now at this point.
Yeah, and because we know it's like for the Meinl thing, it's like, okay, we're getting flown out to Nashville. We're gonna be in a great studio, working with great gear and great people. We don't have to worry about mixing it. Like, it's just like it's all there, you know. So, but yes, we definitely are going to finish the album, and it will be worth it. It's going to be cool when it comes out finally.
It's going to be amazing, dude. Now, you mentioned BEARDFEST. I was going to ask a couple questions about BEARDFEST, if that's all right. You guys just released the lineup.
We did. You mean with Kesha and Guar?
No, that was hilarious. So they released an April Fool's one, and that was hilarious. But the actual one is Knucking Futz. We'll call it that. and like last year's was great. But how in the fuck did you get JoJo Mayer and Nerve and Ghost Note and the New Deal? Like, whoever's making those calls deserves some sort of award.
That's collectively me, Jeremy, Sam, and our talent buyer Andrew. Our talent buyer Justin.
Sorry, Andrew.
No, but Andrew actually is the guy who I said represents Gnarbot. He also works with JoJo Mayer, and he also works with Ghost Note.
So there's a connection there between. Okay.
But before he worked with any of them, we booked JoJo Mayer played BEARDFEST in 2015.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And I booked him.
Oh wow!
Before we had a talent buyer, when we were still kind of like handling the.
Was it relatively easy?
There was a good amount of back and forth, but you know, you reach out and you have something to offer, and people will listen. Doesn't matter who they are. And that year we booked him and Mark Juliana's project, Beat Music.
I do remember that.
Yeah. That for me, like that, those kind of things happened right around the same time, and they, to me, like as I was reaching out to both of them, I almost like didn't. I thought I was going to get ignored or something, and they both happened pretty quickly, and it was like, holy shit!
They were headliners.
Now both Mark Juliana and JoJo Mayer, two of my favorite drummers on the planet, are playing sets where BEARDSPACE is playing right in between, because that's what we're able to do with our festival.
Awesome. You know what would have been amazing if you got both of them to play with you guys.
That would have been amazing.
That would have been like.
Yeah, that would have been amazing.
That would have been clutch.
And and like we have like last year, Nate Worth from Ghost Note sat in with us, and we've had Dave Fusinski from Screaming Headless Torso sat in with us a couple years ago. But we're cautious with asking those artists to do things. If they want to do it, great.
By all means, come on down.
Yeah. but we're not like pushy or anything like that. And we understand not everyone wants to just get up and play with some random prog kids they don't know. But luckily, it's the festival has been a springboard for us as a band and for our own music careers, for sure. Right. And putting us into contact with these people that we book a lot of people we admire, such as JoJo Mayer and Nerve and Ghost Note and the New Deal. I mean, the New Deal, I can't even. It's still kind of crazy to me that they're on the lineup. I remember being shown the New Deal in like 2009 by my friend Nick Laria, who's in that band Sex Office, who was like, you have to check this out. This is like really great combination of electronic and live music. It's like these guys are playing this music, but it's all like techno style or whatever, various forms of electronic music. And I love that album. It's just called The New Deal. I think it came out in 2001. And I still love that album. I still listen to it. I've been listening to it for years. And I heard that way before I knew what a jam band was or what the jam scene was or that they were like the pioneers of a style that's now very popular called Jamtronica.
Right.
I had no idea about any of these things. I'm not like a jam kid. None of us really are. Like, we learned about the jam scene from being told for a while, like, you guys are a jam band. Or, you guys sound like Fish. Right. Yeah.
And that's when you decided, okay, we're going to do BEARDFEST for real. You already done one, and then you're going to create BEARDFEST number 2.
Yeah. That was the eye-opener. Rootwire was kind of the eye-opener of, like, the fact that it even existed. And the headliners were, like, Papadozio was their festival, and Dopapod, and Consider the Source played there, and Snarky Puppy played there in, like, a weird, like, afternoon slot, which is just crazy bizarre to think of. But yeah, there was so much instrumental talent and fire there, and I was just amazed. I was like, there's like, I don't know, like 4,000 people here, and they're here to see this shit. Like, And this is the same kind of shit that I love and the same kind of shit that I'm trying to make. Like, I guess we don't have to just like sadly play in like bars with like rock bands that like everyone gives us weird looks and then leaves early, you know? Like, I guess there could be a market for us, you know?
What's the weirdest venue you ever played?
The weirdest
Give
venue?
me the weirdest show. I'll give you ours.
God damn.
Here, think of it, and I'll tell you ours. Our weirdest show, we play at a New Jersey festival.
Called?
Right, at the Shore. Was it just called the Shore?
Elephants for Autism?
No.
Okay.
What was it?
No,
That's a awesome name. But what was the name of the festival?
It's just like the Jersey Shore Festival.
We were playing with all metal bands.
Okay.
We're an organ trio jam funk band.
Right.
So there are guys doing shreddy guitar solos with like the pack, like the wireless pack, and they're going to the bar like doing shots and
yeah.
They were getting in Luke's face like gyrating. And he's just like, what the fuck is going on, man?
everybody's in all black and we're just walking. Okay, I guess we'll do this.
Yeah.
It was just the strangest show we've ever played. I think that's got to be top.
Well, on
three.
Saturday, you weren't there. We had a sub drummer. We did play a plant potting seminar.
Nice.
So that might be.
That sounds cool though.
It was great. They loved us too. It was cool. But
Yeah.
I don't think I ever played a gig like that before. It's pretty crazy. But
Nice. I'm trying to think, and nothing specifically comes to mind other than I thought you were going to mention like this. So there's this guy Jerry Ryan, who's the fucking man, who lives in the Atlantic City area and throws shows down there. He has annual festivals called Elephants for Autism, where he's raising money for autism. And what's the other one? Just Elephant Talk Indie Music Fest.
Oh, the awards.
Yeah, well, they do awards too.
Yeah.
And he throws these festivals that are just like extreme. He'll book anyone that wants to play, really, which is awesome because like for a lot of people, like when Out of the Beardspace was starting out, we didn't have a ton of contact. We didn't know who to play for or with or where, and the venue that a lot of these shows were held in was called Le Grand Fromage. Now that place closed. It was really strange. It was in Atlantic City. It was like it was like behind like.
Was a dark hole in the wall behind a casino.
Yeah, basically. It had 2 floors. It was really shady. But we had some great times there, but definitely weird times, and definitely like just the mix of bands were just like, what the fuck, like, you know?
Yeah,
you'd hear like,
how did I get here?
Yeah, yeah. But those were some of the weirder shows, I would say, probably there. And then I had my kids play there a bunch. Like I had like when I was still working at School of Rock, like I got them some gigs down there, and same thing. It was like really weird, but like cool experiences for the kids to be in this. Like, so this is like something that you might come across, like, you know, weird places like this and weird and interesting crowds like this, but people were into it, so it was fun, you know.
But I think that's amazing that you show these kids in this academy just like, look, this is actually what we deal with as professionals.
Yeah.
Like you will get one of these that you didn't know that you booked it, but when you get there, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you just kind of have to roll with the punches.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, I try to do that on a lot of fronts with them. Like anyone who wants to, I have certain kids who like are kind of constantly asking me questions more related to like the business, music industry, management, like, you know, BEARDFEST management and dealing with agents and dealing with talent buyers and dealing with yada, yada, yada. They're like, and I'm totally willing with a lot of those kids to just like, you know, let them in on like how it all goes down, because no one can prepare you for that, you know, other than people who have done it. And like, I wasn't prepared for it. And I still, half the time, I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like the music industry is very strange, and the way things work, and sometimes work, sometimes don't work, is very strange. So,
yeah, it's a weird world.
Yeah,
we live in.
Yeah,
for sure. But I want to commend you on the BEARDFEST. I can't imagine being in your shoes. Well, I mean, you guys split up the duties, but I can't imagine getting the amount of emails you guys probably do about that festival. If you don't follow us on YouTube,
Zoom
you need
in real quick.
You need to follow us on YouTube just to see the face he made. Go to Dude Check This Out Music Podcast. Tell me more about that face.
No,
please.
I mean, it's just constant, and it's for months. It's most months out of the year, and it's email. It's our band email. It's my private email. It's text messages. It's Facebook messages.
It must get annoying as hell.
It's everything, and it's people I know really well, and it's people I don't know really well, and it's people who got my number from someone or so and so, and some of it's really like courteous, and I try to respond to most, and be like, just like, hey, this is the booking process, like with pretty much anyone. And you know, sometimes people are like really aggressive and rude about it, and like kind of like, you know, like kind of entitled, kind of like think they're entitled. And that goes for people who I don't know at all. And sometimes people who we do know, who are like good friends or like really great bands sometimes, like, you know, we can't get everyone on every year. And that's just the way it is. We have to have diversity in it. And if you want a thing like that to succeed, which we do, you have to be strategic in how and why you book. And we're very, very, very strategic about it. We are trying to capture certain elements musically. We are trying to capture certain elements demographic wise, and into like who they will like their fans and what areas they are from. Like, you know, like we want people from Pennsylvania to come. How do we do that? You know, we want people from New York City to come. How do we do that? We want people who like bluegrass to come. We want people who like jazz to come. We want people who like techno music to come.
You have to go into a lot of different markets and then kind of get them all to convene at your festival.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that what that means is that, you know, for all kinds of reasons, not everyone can play every year, and we have to make some calls. And, you know, sometimes people are really understanding about it. Other times people are pretty pushy about it. Like, why? Like, but why? I just don't get it. Like, you know, like what could we have done differently? It's like literally nothing. Like it's usually not because we don't like you or something like that. There's no like, you know what I mean? It's like, it just is what it is. And it's like, it's a democratic process there, even though there's really like there's 4 of us pretty heavily in on it, but there's 3 of us really at the end of the day saying yes or no. And you know, like even me as an individual, I would say that every year maybe each one of us has one fuck you card where it's just kind of like, I don't care what either of you guys think. Like I need this band to be on the festival. But we usually actually don't even get to that, because like like if 2 of the other people, like say like I feel strongly about one thing, but the other 2 guys are not feeling the same way about it, usually their reasoning is pretty solid. And usually we try to, like, obviously there's personal gain invested in this, because we spend
A fair amount
literally every waking moment thinking about it for like 6 or 7 months of our year, so it's fucking a lot. So yeah, my bands are gonna play, like they are. Sorry if anyone has a problem with that. Sorry, like you make a festival.
Well, no, exactly. Like you put in the time, you get the most of the reward. And I mean, there are a lot of bands that like your side projects are all in here. Like Ethan's other band is on the festival. Pansong's
which
on
is
there.
Jeremy. So that's Jeremy.
Oh, Jeremy's band. I'm sorry, I did not.
No,
know
it's
that.
okay. No. And
Okay.
it's Jeremy and Ethan's in it too.
Okay.
But it totally makes sense that Pansong is on, because that's Jeremy's project, and he's one of the guys doing a lot of the work for it.
Right. And Gnarbot's going to be on the festival this year. Are there any other BeardSpace affiliated bands on there?
Deep Creature.
Deep Creature's also on there. I know
Rob-
Trap Rabbit's on there. You play with them every now and again.
Yeah, I'm playing with them this Friday, actually, at the Grape Room around 12 p.m. or a.m. or
Oh,
whatever.
actually, I'm going
Midnight.
to that show. I'm going to be there.
I'll see you there.
Is it just a trio? Is it going to be 3 of you? Or
I don't know. I think they're having a couple other guys sit in at different points too. I don't know if John.
probably you and Coleman?
Well, no. I know they're having other guitar players sit in. I know Dan Kaplowitz is sitting in, who's a good buddy of mine, and
Dan
said
plays
he
with
plays with
us.
us.
Actually.
Cool.
Yeah.
Dan's the man. Dan is one of my favorite guitar players, and
He's
a
hilarious.
fucking awesome guy.
Yeah.
And some guy that I'm not super familiar with, who I guess is like a Grape Room regular or something. I don't know who he is. I could be even wrong about that fact.
Don't matter.
But yeah, so
Is it
Trap
Hoffman?
Rabbit, huh?
Is it Mike Hoffman?
No, it's not Mike Hoffman. I know Mike Hoffman.
I love you, Mike. But no, I think that I commend you guys. It's a big feat, and you guys handle it every year. And
Yeah, it's just become part of life, kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, the thing I was saying is like if 2 of the guys don't agree with the decision, it's usually for a pretty good reason. You know what I mean? Like usually it's like, all right, like I can see why it's not a good idea to book this band, even though I really want to book them. But that said, every year, like, you know, if I really, really, really need to push something through, I can. But it's like, it's not it's not usually how we go about it. It's usually like a unanimous, like, you know, if I want a band to be honest, like, here are my reasons, and usually they'll agree with me or not.
Right.
You know?
Then you put down your fuck you card.
Yeah. Or not.
Depending, you only get one, so you have to be careful.
Yeah.
Now we get to talk about the music news, ladies and gentlemen. Coming this weekend, this podcast will come out after that, but coming this weekend is Trey Anastasio's new band. Coming on tour, Ghosts of the Forest. Have you heard about this?
I might have seen something on social media.
Okay, I know that John Coleman, I think, is part of some sort of pre-party or after-party, or that's what I saw. I don't know, maybe he was just helping promote it. That man plays with everybody.
He does, and he loves him some fish.
Yes, he does.
John loves him.
John loves himself some fish.
Yeah.
Oh man! But basically, Trey, I'm getting the article up. Trey has been talking about this new band. It's basically members from the Trey Anastasio band and from and John Fishman from Fish.
Okay.
And they're doing like almost like a trio kind of run. Somebody they knew passed away. Chris, I had the thing up, but somebody they knew passed away. And it happened right when they were going to record the record, and now they're doing like an 8-show run, going across the East Coast, I believe. But they're on tour. They're gonna be in Philly this weekend. Here it is. And Trey Anastasio has a new documentary with the Rolling Stone, basically all about Fish this past year with like the Baker's Dozen and this music, and then coming out with that random ass album and then performing it at Baker's Dozen, like the. You heard about this? The fake metal band they created?
No.
Yeah, so
I did not hear
Baker's
about this.
Dozen, they
I know what that was.
Okay, so they did a different album every night. Well, they made up a random band, and they made like a Wikipedia page
for their
them.
Halloween show.
For the I thought it was for the Baker's Dozen.
No, it was for the Halloween show.
For the Halloween show. So they created a fake band, and they performed this music. People are like, who the fuck is this? And they went online. Turns out the Fish just came out with a new record, and now it's like everybody's favorite songs and stuff from this fake band that they made.
Right.
And basically documents that. It talks about everything they've done this year.
I admire them.
In what way?
The reach that they have and the influence they have over people's lives.
They definitely do.
And the cult they've created.
Would you compare them, maybe not as big, but would you compare them to like the today's Grateful Dead?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Obviously. Yeah. To me, that's like an obvious comparison.
Yeah.
And I, both bands are not my favorite musically. I can get down with some Fish stuff, and I can get down with some Grateful Dead stuff. But I saw my first Fish show last year, I guess it was, and the thing I was most impressed with and inspired by was just like seeing so many. I mean, Jesus Christ, that. What was it? The BB&T Pavilion is where they played. So it was completely packed. The lawn was completely packed, and you got people singing along to these melodies and like just like with it for like the show, and knowing what's going on and knowing the culture behind the songs, and they've created a whole thing, and I think that's really awesome.
I think it's beautiful. Yeah, I think it's beautiful too.
Would hope to be able to do something like that at some point in my life.
Yeah, build that kind of culture around your music.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
The next bit of music news kind of involves Zach LoPresti. BEARDFEST pre-party, which is the return of the New Deal, which we had mentioned earlier. Do you want to tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's going to be the Wednesday before BEARDFEST, and it's actually an exclusive pre-party, only available. Tickets are only going to be available to people who have already purchased BEARDFEST tickets or who purchased them at the same time. You'll get a promo code that allows you to buy a ticket for the Silk City show. And yeah, I mean, for anyone who knows Silk City, it's one of Philly's favorite little, smaller bar venues, and
it's very intimate.
Yeah, it's very intimate, and seeing a band like a huge band like the New Deal there is going to be sick.
It's going to be huge.
Yeah.
Well, so it's the New Deal. It's Gnarbot, I assume. No, nobody else is on that bill?
No, I don't think anyone else is playing it. BeardsPace, we talked about doing it, and we were going to do it, but it's so close to the festival that it's the day before doors open, and we are like running around like headless cats and chickens, cats, whatever.
Headless cats is better.
No, it actually is more like cats because like there's some like I don't know. I feel like a headless cat would have itself together a little bit more.
I don't like where we're at, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Next bit of music news is the Rolling Stones have to be replaced at New Orleans Jazz Fest because Mick Jagger has to get a heart valve surgery. Are you a Stones fan?
No, and
not at all.
I don't know why they're still playing. I guess because
money,
people happy and money, but no, I don't know. I've never been a Stones guy, and when I see that they're constantly touring, I'm just like, what the fuck?
Well, what about recordings though? Not going to see them live, but are you a Stones fan even with the old stuff?
I mean some songs, but not really. I don't know. Just not my vibe.
Okay. Well, April Fool's was yesterday, and the big thing online yesterday was that Zeppelin was like jokingly going to be their replacement at New Orleans Jazz Fest.
That would excite me.
Yeah, but then you know what Robert Plant came out and said? There's not enough money in the world to make me play with Led Zeppelin again.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like, damn!
Holy shit. Wow.
And the last bit of music news is Snarky Puppy's announced a tour. They're coming to the Fillmore on September the 4th.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And in Philadelphia, you should definitely come see that. It's going to be a good show. Mm-hmm. I'm definitely trying to get tickets. Next section of this podcast is called Whip It Out. That's your phone. We're going to whip out our phones and talk about the last 5 things we kind of been listening to. So, Zach, if you'd be so kind, you can bust out your phone and we can kind of see where your head's been at. Zach mentioned during the break that he's been listening to a lot of students' material or tunes that students wanted to learn. But we'll see where kind of Zach's head's at right now.
Let's see. Yeah, so it's usually my recently played usually consists of stuff that I'm either learning for gigs or that my students are learning for his academy or for lessons. So I have The Heat Is On by the Isley Brothers, which we were going to play at Funkin' Bowl on Sunday, but we ended up not playing that one. But I was actually listening to it before the set to remind myself of how it went.
Hey, real quick side note, you've been doing the Funkin' Bowl, which is over at North Bowl in 2nd and Brown? No.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Pretty much.
But that's hosted by Eli Winderman of Dopapod, correct?
Yeah, correct.
So every Sunday he has a different band playing that venue. Mm-hmm. I think it's amazing. I think that you guys have kind of all become involved with Dopapod even after you've seen them at that first festival.
Yeah, no, and I've definitely told Eli that story before, and it's pretty like
full circle almost.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's great.
I haven't been to one yet. I every Sunday I'm just like I want to like go check it out.
It's so much fun.
Well, no, because we're huge fans of everyone in the bands. Like we love Muscle Tough. We love the new Master Sounds. Eddie Roberts did a couple shows or whatever, and we didn't know Dopapod before.
Yeah.
But then we checked out their last live album. Holy shit, they're awesome.
Yeah, Dopapod's sick.
They're really cool. Anyway, continue with your list.
I'm seeing some like I'm seeing just a general playlist of Academy Spring 2019 Sunday, which would be I have 2 groups right now. I have a group that rehearses on Sundays and a group that rehearses on Thursdays. Mm-hmm. I don't even know what song was most recent. I could just go down the list of this, though.
Give me 1 or 2. I don't know.
Beyond the Seventh Galaxy by Return to Forever.
Dude, that song's awesome. Do you know that record? Oh my god, I love Return to Forever. I love the stuff that what was the album that the 2 albums they did with the chick singer Light as a Feather?
Yeah, Light as a Feather. I don't know the other one.
There's a second one I think. I just can't remember what the hell it's called. Anyway, continue.
Next couple are If I Were a Song and If You Were a Song, both by Infineon, which is a Philly-based progressive, I guess you could call them progressive rock, but they really take influences from a lot of places. Are you familiar with them? Infineon?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, they've been around. I feel like they've been a band since, like, I started playing music or something. Like, they've been around for a while. And they're, to me, like, I don't understand why they're not fucking huge. They're, at least in the prog realm, the progressive rock and jazz realm, because to me, they have some of the best compositions I've heard. To me, these 2 songs, If I Were a Song and If You Were a Song, are like top-notch compositionally. Like I'd put it up there with anything that I would put up there.
Awesome. Oh, definitely check those out, ladies and gentlemen. What's the last one? Give me 1 more.
Golden Lady by Stevie Wonder.
Because you like it, or because you had to learn it?
Because it's great for the students. This is just like the first couple songs on the student Sunday list.
Oh wow!
Just because it's a great song.
Yeah, not a bad thing to say about Stevie Wonder.
Yeah,
like
we're doing that and Contusion by him. Which,
that I've told him I want to cover that song.
Yeah,
Contusion's awesome.
Yeah, I love that song.
Yeah, I haven't convinced him yet, but maybe.
Yep.
So good. Anyway, we're at my favorite part of the show. It's called the lightning round. We're going to do basically as fast as you can answer these questions. Here we go. Zach, what was the first album you ever owned?
Mortal Kombat Annihilation soundtrack.
Yes. First live concert you ever saw. That you remember seeing.
Various Christian rock concerts with my dad, and then Creed with my mom, who is also arguably Christian rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, Creed.
Last show you saw.
Proud of that one.
That took the life out of the room.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. I did ask. Last show you saw that you weren't a part of.
Shit. I don't know. I can't.
Maybe like a Funkin' Bowl that you weren't on.
It's been a little while since I went to one of those that I wasn't on. Oh crap.
Here, we'll come back to that one.
Yeah.
What's something people would be surprised to know about you?
I don't know.
After this interview?
Yeah. No, I don't know.
All right, skip that one. Favorite song to play right now? It can be yours.
I don't know, man. I'm sorry. I'm bad at this right now. There's a Gnarbot song I really love playing called Destroyer. That's one of my songs.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just feels good to play. Just fun.
Favorite local artist that hasn't been heard of or you think deserves to be heard of right now?
There's so many, but I don't know. I mean, people know Infineon to some degree, but they should be a lot bigger. So I would say Infineon is definitely, just because we were just talking. We were just talking
about them. Guilty pleasure artist or album?
Linkin Park.
Dude, which one?
Hybrid Theory, probably.
Oh, it's a classic. Okay, well, a lot of people say like, oh, I don't feel guilty about it, but I respect your guilty pleasure artist. Favorite album right now?
Favorite album right now? I don't know. I mean, I've been listening. Can I look at my phone real quick?
Yeah, we can edit this too.
Okay. Let me see if this gives me any light into it. No, I don't know. I've been listening. An album that I've been putting on a lot when I have time to actually listen to music, just to listen to it, is called Circuits by saxophone player Chris Potter.
I love Chris Potter.
Yeah.
Dude, he's the man.
Dope album. Amazing playing.
Have you seen some of the videos with him sitting in with Snarky Puppy?
Yeah.
And like, dude.
It's epic.
Yeah. Favorite artist right now?
Favorite artist right now? Like...
Band, artist, one or the other.
I don't know. I can't answer that question. I don't have one.
Well, I'll tell you what. You are a man of many tastes. I'm sure it's very difficult. Now, this is like the last big question. It's been a new thing I've been kind of asking artists. I'm really curious where their headspace is. Why do you think you play music? Like, is it? Sorry, go ahead.
Because I have to.
You think that's?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel like an inherent need to do it. Like, I feel like if I wasn't doing it, I wouldn't. That's like my reason for like living. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, like I love my friends and my family and all of that, but like my desire to like live for a very long time has been fueled by my desire to pursue music, and it's kind of been like that for as long as I can remember, like being like a human, which I mean, I don't know, late teens or something is when you become a human.
We're all aliens until we're
Well, you're just
13.
You still know what the hell's going on.
Oh, fair enough.
But
enough.
Like, and not that you do know what the hell's going on when you're in your late teens, but that's when I started. Like, that's when I got whatever like conviction and fire it is I have to do what I do, and that's like it's lasted since then. And it's just like, yeah, I don't know. I think about music as a pursuit that's a lifelong pursuit, and that I'll never master, but I could just continue going with. And if I ever get bored with it, it's because I'm boring or because I'm lazy or something, because like there's always a new road to explore. And like whether it's guitar playing or drumming or just listening or singing or playing bass, or I have these loose aspirations now that I'm trying to take more seriously of becoming a real piano player, because it's weird. We were talking earlier about how I couldn't imagine myself playing guitar. I can't imagine myself like crushing it like behind a keyboard. I can't picture it, but I would love to, because sometimes I'll listen to classical music, like I'll listen to like Ravel like piano pieces or Debussy piano pieces, and like almost cry, like both because of how beautiful it is and because I feel like touching music like that is something I just can't touch, and it upsets me. So so hopefully in 5 years I'll at least be able to like stumble through some shit.
Is that like a timeline you gave yourself, like 5 years?
Now,
just right now.
Yeah, as of
Zach of the future. I'm sorry.
No, I have to though, because I think it'd be like a deep life regret if I don't.
I think so. I think piano especially is one that you should know. Yeah, at least basics.
I know basics. I can fumble around. I know how to build chords.
Well, I mean you. I mean like in general.
Yeah.
Basic musician.
But I want to be able to like
crush it.
Yeah.
I got you. What's your next big show with Gnarbot or Out of the Beardspace? This episode will go live next week. Next 10th? Yeah, April 10th.
I'm trying to think of the next big show. Well, the weekend of, I guess, May 3rd, we're having the first. There's actually going to be 3 BEARDFEST pre-parties. So
okay.
One is the one that's very close to BEARDFEST, which is the new deal. The first one is going to be on May 4th, and it's Gnarbot, Miss Cantaloupe, and Medusa's Disco, which if you know those bands, it's a very weird blend of bands, but it's going to be a lot of fun because of that. It's going to be a very diverse night of music. So that should be a pretty fun or indoor big one. Then the next weekend, there's a festival called Threestival.
Yeah.
That I've played a bunch in my various projects, and BEARDSPACE is headlining on the Friday night, and Gnarbot's headlining on the Saturday night. So
no shit.
I'm excited about that.
That's awesome.
Where
fun. Is that festival?
It's in a new location. I mean, honestly, this is kind of pathetic, but like with all the Pennsylvania festivals and stuff, like I'm always just like, it's like bumblefuck Pennsylvania. I don't know. It's somewhere. It's somewhere.
You put in the GPS and just get me there. Exactly. It'll be fine.
Exactly. It's like, okay, it's like, is this one 3 hours away or 4 hours away? Okay, great.
All right. Well, where can people find you online and such things to follow you?
Facebook and Instagram.
Just Zach LoPresti?
Yeah, Instagram is Zach LoPresti, and Facebook is ZLoPresti13.
Oh, awesome.
I have a website, but it's not ready yet, and I lost the domain name, so
they got it from under you?
We'll check back in on that later.
Well, make sure to go follow Out of the Beardspace, Gnarbot, and all those bands I mentioned earlier. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
No problem, man. And thank you to Ballbirds for being our first sponsor ever. And thank you for listening. Peace.
Thanks for listening to Dude, Check This Out, a music podcast by Hambone Relay. This Friday, April 12th, Hambone Relay will be playing The Underground by Round Guys Brewing Company in Lansdale, Pennsylvania. Also on the bill will be Alongside the Dreamers and Peace in the City, Greece. So that's going to be an awesome one. On Saturday, April 13th, we're playing at Time at Sansom and Broad in Philadelphia. Those are always great shows. You won't want to miss that. And on Sunday, the 14th, we're going to be playing the Spring Street Festival in Mannion. We'll be on the Schurz Lane stage, and we're playing right before the band Stella Ruse, who are good friends of ours. And hint, hint, there might be a sit-in or two, so you're definitely going to want to check that out. That's going to be a lot of fun. We're only a month away from our new album being released on May 3rd, so if you haven't pre-ordered your copy, go to our website and do that right now. It's going to be available on vinyl, CD, and digital download, and the digital downloads will be available for pre-order on iTunes very soon. You can pre-order your copy at our website, www.hambonerelay.com.
Thank you so much for listening to Dude. Check this out. Once again, if you want to learn more about Hambone Relay, please go to our website, hambonerelay.com, or go to iTunes to check out our records, or Spotify, which is where these playlists will be located for these episodes. And don't listen to the haters, man. There's plenty of good music out there. You just have to keep looking. See y'all later.